Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. I'm your host, Juliet Clark, and today we have another one of our terrific authors. We're going to be talking to Sarah Carlson. But before we get started, remember to go over to www.breakthroughauthornewsletter and subscribe to our newsletter over on LinkedIn. We're going to be running that 10-day challenge between October 17th and the 26th to help you guys build a better author platform. And going to be followed up as well by a course that will be a one-day workshop in planning for 2023. You guys, the reason we're doing this is every time we give a talk on author platform building, people just sit there with their mouth wide open and their comments are, oh my gosh, there's so much. I have so much work to do. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. So this is really an important step to being able to understand what you need and to be able to break it down into bite-sized pieces, because there are a lot of moving parts to actually building the platform so that you have a successful launch. So www.breakthroughauthornewsletter.com. So Sarah Carlson has the most intriguing book, and it is aimed at women who need a little bit of help budgeting, investing, and really getting their finances in order. And when Sarah did this, her plan is to help women of all ages, but especially those that are 30s and 40s to get started early to be financially secure. And one of the things that resonated with me was the beginning of the book, the introduction was, and we'll talk about it a little bit more when Sarah's on, but it was something that I saw a lot when I was in the real estate world and divorces occurred. So we'll get into that a little bit more. But Sarah Carlson is a thought leader, writer, and financial planner, and she helps nice people work towards the goal of living their very best lives. Although many people think that money can't, quote, buy happiness, Sarah knows from experience that it certainly can help. With wealth often comes anxiety, especially for those who don't know the ins and outs of financial planning, investment, and money management. So, but there's this really funny thing I'm just going to share before we get to the interview that last week, Sarah and I were having this discussion. She was trying to understand something in the publishing world. And I said, oh my gosh, Sarah, this is like you trying to explain to me financial planning and investments in a half hour. And we both kind of laughed and moved on. But the seriousness of this is that it does take some time. It does take some learning, and it takes a commitment to be able to put all this together. So I hope you enjoy this interview with Sarah. Hey, Sarah, it's great to have you on the show today.
Hey, Juliet, thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm really excited to be with you here today.
So I'm really excited to talk about facing financial fears because, first of all, we're in a recession. We're not in a recession. It depends on who you ask. By our terms, in the past, we're in a recession. And I think people really do have some financial fear going on.
You're absolutely right. I think financial issues create so much angst for so many people. And this year in particular, you know, in this market meltdown, I really think it's more of a mental meltdown. There's a lot to be scared of. Yeah. I know no one that's not have some element of fear right now.
Yeah, that's crazy. So the first thing that struck me when I read your book is in the intro, there is this story or kind of an allusion or alluding to a story about real estate and, you know, when you get a divorce and how, you know, women fight so hard to get the house and then they can't afford it. And that story really hit me. Like that was the first thing that really came out for me because, you know, I used to sell real estate and I would see that all the time. So is this book mostly for women and helping them?
It is geared towards women. I have found, though, through my blogging and content, I'm really surprised how relevant it is for men as well, and how many men respond. I think it's, but it is in particular women. So many times are house proud, and get so caught up in the emotion and the belonging in a house that they lose sight of the bigger picture and how it may be sabotaging other important things in their lives. And so it is such a common theme. And I think as women, being nesters and being those nurturers to those people in our lives, our house so many times represents so much. So many times when women go through a transition, they fight hard to keep the house. And just as I outlined of the story in the book, it can end up making everything difficult. I mean, maintaining it, keeping it. I mean, I've met so many women in particular that have either through divorce or death ended up with a house that then bankrupts them.
Yeah.
And end up having to make tough decisions getting out of the house. And that's one of the things that I've helped a lot of women understand, give them perspective as to how it fits into their life and maybe some other ways to think through their housing and how that's going to help them get to their goals.
Yes. And I think part of that, what really struck me about the story too was, I was involved when I sold houses in many divorces, and you realize there are a lot of unrealistic expectations there. I remember going out to list a house in Acton, and I told the people that your house is worth $550,000, and each of them said, "Well, no, we figured out what we need to go on with our lives, and we each need $300,000." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's really amazing, but your house isn't worth, I don't know where you're going to get this other, because, the equity is not there." So I think you're right, there are probably men in that position too. But the other thing too, with your Love Money Journal part of this is that sometimes we forget what's important in all of that.
Exactly. Because life is a process, a journey. And if your house really should be providing shelter, right? It should be a safe place, someplace that you enjoy being. It should not be a piggy bank. It should not be robbing you of your retirement money, your emergency money. And so many times people can really lose sight. I recently, not too long ago, helped a woman whose husband passed away. And they had used their house as a piggy bank. And not only did they have a second, but third mortgage. And when he passed away, they had nothing in retirement. And she had a survivorship Social Security of about $38,000. And their house, just to maintain it, took over $50,000. So she was in negative cash flow just for keeping the house. And then she was forced to sell it at a deep discount. And ended up, she ended up in her mid 60s having to go back to work because she had to, after living this luxurious big house lifestyle, right? They didn't save for their future.
And look what's going on today. All over the internet, I see these hurry and get a home equity line of credit before they don't give them anymore. Every time I pop on the computer, that pops up. So they're trying to get people to do that in the midst of, all this inflation, which is the wrong thing to do. So talk a little bit about the Love Money Journal and when you're working with people and how you see this helping.
Yeah, so Love Money Journal is my financial empowerment business, and through that, producing the book, Facing Financial Fears, 8 Steps to Financial Freedom for Women. And it really, so much about it is taking systematic approach to your finances and the emotional piece. People you can use your emotions can hurt your financial goals, but they can also help them if you get some organization behind it and tie your goals to thoughts that are important to you. But the big thing is people don't take action. And what I mean by that is one step can totally change your trajectory. For example, one woman that I dealt with was a massage therapist, and she for years she couldn't save anything, and she was just hand to mouth and spent everything. And I encouraged her with each massage, put $5 in a box, and it was about just helping her change her behavior. And it was kind of amazing to watch it unfold. And in a few months, she had saved, like $1,000 and more money. And it was encouraging because she was putting $5, and then suddenly she's like, gosh, I can do $10, $20. But what it did is it changed her behavior. And then with that seed money, she was able to open a Roth IRA and do other things for her future. And what was great was then she inherited some money from her family, a modest amount. But by that time, she had changed her behavior. So instead of her spending all that money she got, it helped her create a cushion for retirement. And she's very comfortable today because she learned finally to live within her means and treat herself with the respect. So much of saving and investing is about self-respect. We tend to treat everyone with more respect than ourselves, especially our banker. When you get into debt, whether it's credit card debt or home equity line of credit, I love to call that the giant sucking sound, because you're on a treadmill and people don't realize just how much you're paying in fees and everything else in order for the privilege to still owe that money. So one of the exercises I like helping people calculate is how much per year are they spending on interest just to have the privilege of still owing that money.
That is so true. And I think to go and seek the help, sometimes there's a lot of embarrassment behind it. So when I went into Merrill Chandler's program, I remember having my first consultation with him and having to fill out the paperwork. And he's like, how are you going to get rid of all this debt? And I was so embarrassed. Like, even when I was filling it out, do you think that's what holds a lot of people back?
Absolutely. So there is so much shame and embarrassment. In fact, studies have shown that people have more shame and embarrassment going to a financial advisor and getting real about their money than they do getting naked in front of a doctor for the first time.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't have that problem. Well, yeah, I guess I do.
Yeah. So part of facing financial fears is helping the reader go from shame to joy through some curious steps, because I want to demystify the money journey. And I also want to normalize. I mean, it's as women too, we tend to think money is masculine and something that we shouldn't talk about, when I believe there's nothing more feminine about knowing where your money is, having resources and peace of mind, knowing that you can take care of yourself and those loved ones. But it all starts with getting real about where you are. So I'm so glad you had a chance to do that with Merrill to go through. So knowing listing out your assets and liabilities is really important. So many people have accounts all over. They're like piecemeal, and many times they're at an employer and maybe they had a retirement plan and they moved and they lose track of them. And one easy thing, I've had many clients find assets by going to their state's lost asset site and looking for the name. And so any state you've lived in, every name you've had, it's worth checking out, because everything from a rebate coupon to a retirement account that got detached from you gets turned over to these government agencies. And it's a free service the states do to help reunite you with your lost money.
That is so, so true. So that first step is just gathering where is all your money at and looking at, that's what we did with Merrill too. Where is the debt? Getting over the shame of the debt and coming up with a plan. Because here I am 2 years later and I'm almost completely debt free, which it's amazing when I look at where I was. But it was a behavior change, because now I really think I don't even carry my credit cards. I have to, if I see something, I have to come home and get it. And sometimes I'll get home and I'll go, it's not worth it.
That is such a great hack. So what you're helping, instead of getting caught up in the short-term rush of like shopping therapy, because there's we're hardwired to avoid fear and seek out pleasure, and so we're looking for those emotional chemicals, like serotonin when we shop. So if you're at risk of spending that way, having a strategy of keeping your credit cards at home, it's proven you spend 30% less if you pay cash. Instead of pulling out your bank information, paying for cash, you significantly spend less. But having some systems in place so you can be proactive and take the emotion out of some of those spending decisions. The other thing that's really important is the cash flow. We've all heard, live within your means. Well, basically, don't spend money you don't have. And how are you going to do that unless you know how much you have coming in? Because every dollar you make, Uncle Sam takes a chunk of it. Ideally, you're siphoning some off in probably a retirement plan, hopefully, that you have through your employer on your own. And then you have a net amount, but understanding what you actually have, and then your fixed expenses and your discretionary expenses. How much do you have control over? Your have to have expenses and your want to have expenses. It's really, the more you can have an understanding on that, the better you're going to be able to control those money purposes. The other thing is your money has different objectives. It's reasonable to have a short-term, medium, and long-term money. Your short-term money should be very safe, like your emergency funds. Your medium-term money might be, saving to buy for a new car, maybe a new house, maybe educating your kids. It's reasonable to have a moderate investment plan with that. And then the long-term money, the money that you're going to need years from now, that needs to be more opportunistic and statistically have the best chance of growing.
See, that's amazing. So inside the journal, what are we going to get inside this book? What kind of tips are we going to get, and where do you hope people go with this?
The book is designed to take the reader on a journey through stories and exercises, so they really think about their own situation, and it's designed to motivate them to take action. So the reader is going to not only have come away with a better understanding of why they're where they are right now, but also come up with a plan of where they want to go and feel comfortable with some action steps to get there.
This is amazing. So for me, the motivator was I actually took my credit card statements and I separated the interest from the balances. And when I saw how much I was wasting every year on interest, I was like, oh my gosh, think of what you could do with this money. And that became my savings. So, are there exercises like that will really, I don't mean exactly that, but are there things in the book that will illuminate and make you just go, whoa?
Yes, there are. And there's some, and certainly in this technical world we live in, there's certainly lots of software that we suggest to the reader that can help. But I also love some of the old school hacks, just like the exercise you went through, knowing the debt and doing the calculation of how expensive that debt is. Something where even posting that in a place like your room or your bathroom, someplace that you're going to see it regularly, will really help motivate and spur you to taking action to eliminate that debt. So just like you, to take care of all that in 2 years is impressive.
Yeah, if you knew how much it was, it's very impressive.
Way to go.
But you know what, though, I find, and I'm just going to put it out there because I know I don't know if you're as woo woo as I am. It seemed like once I had a plan, the universe really opened up and made that plan happen, because not only did I start attacking that debt, I also, every single check I got in as an entrepreneur, 10% went into savings. And all of a sudden, now I had emergency money, my debt was going, and it seemed like once I put it out there that this is what I was going to do, it started happening. And very quickly, too. Very quickly, I saw results. And once you see results, then you get really like, oh my God, I want more results.
Exactly. And it doesn't take a big step to start seeing some changes, just like you've seen. I've been in the financial industry over 30 years. I'm a certified financial planner. There's nothing in the financial universe that I can't help my clients with. And I'm so amazed. And after all these years, it really 98% of the time it comes down to behavior and people's mindsets. And just to your point, that once you make a decision and you actually put some action behind it, you get momentum, and you get a payoff to see how you're reaching those goals. It's contagious. And even though money can't buy happiness, having a buffer and having financial options sure can put a smile on your face with the peace of mind that you have with that.
Yeah, I think it can actually make you happy, you guys, because here's why. Once I got that savings going, if I had an unexpected disaster, I could just say, thank you, universe. I have this to cover it. So I think it can make you really happy in that sense, to know that, somebody's got your back, or you've got your own back there. So what do you hope to do with this book? The Love Money Journal program, is that the next step from the book, or how do you envision all of this with your next steps?
Yeah, I think, I wrote this book because I've been able to profoundly help a lot of people through my career, but, probably about 1,000 people. So I view that the content in this book is an opportunity for me to help so many more people. And the book is, the next steps will be a workbook, and certainly I want to continue to grow on it. This is the one to give lift, and it certainly is an advocate of taking the steps, as well as, turning to a professional. The next book will be a further step, probably a little bit more advanced, but certainly staying on the psychology of it, because money fears, there's a lot of fear associated with money. Even like people that have a ton of money, they're very fearful of losing it. And money should serve you and help you live your best life. It shouldn't keep you small and keep you paralyzed and limited.
Right. That is so true. So, but you're also looking for workshops to go in, and speaking gigs to come and help women as well, aren't you? So is that part of the plan?
Yeah, so I do a lot of speaking to different groups. And so, yes, I will be talking to groups about the book and about ways in which they can navigate to their goals, and applying it to helping them think differently and give a different perspective. So being an expert like myself and being as seasoned in the industry, I have a lot of perspective and skills that many times people haven't thought about, and they don't realize the different ways. And it's my job to talk in words and lingo that the reader, the audience understands. Too much of our industry, make it sound like rocket science, and it really just needs to be broken down so it's something that can be understood. It's no different than if you go to a doctor and you have a problem, the bedside manner, having an understanding of what's going on and coming up with a plan. And then taking care of the plan. So through my wealth management business, we help so many families get to their financial goals, but a big part of that is monitoring it and taking care of it. So it's just not putting together a plan, it's taking care of that and growing it.
Yeah, and probably having to make some adjustments here and there. I mean, right now, I think we're going through that adjustment period, and it's very helpful if you have a professional working with you that can say, hey, we need to, do a few things a little different right now. So, well, this is really great. Facing Financial Fears will be out today on the day that this drops. So, Sarah, how do we get a hold of you if we want you to come and speak, or we just want to reach out and say, hello, I need some help?
Yeah. So my wealth management business is Fulcrum Financial Group, and that website is fulcrumfinancialgroup.com. And then my financial empowerment is lovemoneyjournal.com. On both of those sites, you can sign up to in your email and be on our distribution list. And there's information there. My name is Sarah Carlson, and I'm a money expert. So really looking forward to positively impacting your listeners.
That's great. And you guys, it's Sarah with an H. I always spell it wrong. I have to tell you. And could you spell Fulcrum for us too, please?
Yes, it's FULCRUM, financial, FINANCIAL, and then group, GROUP.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing this information with us and the book. I'm really excited for this launch.
Thank you for having me, Juliet. This has been fun.